existing Grissom Municipal Library site are being recommended for low-density residential, which reflects the land use designation of the surrounding area. The remaining land use recommendations in this section reflect the pattern of development within the area. And the last section is the south sector, which is located just north of Colony Road and extends south to Oyster Point Road. The sites located south of Minchville Road on Mennonite Lane, shown on the far right side map, are being recommended for low-density residential to reflect the existing single-family dwellings. The urban residential designation along Warwick Boulevard accommodates the proposed development of the Mennonite expansion based on land being gifted to the center. Additionally, the low-density and urban residential designations maintains the residential character of this portion of Warwick Boulevard. The remaining land use recommendations in this section reflect the pattern of development. In conclusion, the Denby-Warwick Area Plan sets a clear vision for the future and provides a roadmap that outlines the steps necessary to realize the plan's vision. The plan also serves as a framework to guide land use decisions in the future. Furthermore, the goals and strategies of the plan are closely aligned with the vision and priority of the city's One City, One Future Comprehensive Plan 2040. Therefore, it's recommended that the Planning Commission recommend the City Council adoption of Plan Amendment PLN-2019-005 Denby-Warwick Area Plan. Are there any questions?
Thank you. Before I ask are there any questions, I have a comment I would like to make. Again, thank you to our planning director and her staff for doing an outstanding job once again to ensure that the City of Newport News has the best concepts, ideas, thoughts, staff, and support that supports her in the efforts. Again, thank you, Ms. McAllister, and to your team. Are there any questions from Ms. Hopkins?
Make a comment real quick.
Sure.
I happen to own a small property within the greater Kmart development site, so I will not be voting on this or part of the discussion.
Correct.
Thank you.
Appreciate that. Are there any other questions, comments, or refusals?
Okay. I had one concern that I've brought up, probably ad nauseum, but one concern that I have is I feel the part where it says big moves is more descriptive than it needs to be as far as a comprehensive plan and for guiding. I don't have a problem with all the different sites and the land uses and going with mixed use and all. I'm just concerned that we've taken information we've gotten from people and then narrowed it down to a more defining plan that it should be at this time. I think it needs to be presented and discussed more before the city comes up with the plan. I know I went to a lot of the meetings, almost all of them, and there was still concern about putting all three of the municipal, things together in one location, and that part is really stressed in the plan. And it's like putting all of the city's CIP funding services all in one basket when the outside planners had really described 6 areas, 3 locations, the north, south, and central, and then 6 little villages along the way, and it seems to be putting all of everything in one basket in one spot. So all the funding that the city would be putting into it, I know they'll be doing other things elsewhere, just seem to be in one spot together, and having it written out so specifically in the comprehensive plan bothers me because when it's time to build and when it's time to move forward with this, people are going to look to it for guidance. And if the guidance is, oh, here's where the municipals go, here's where the 650 apartments are going to go, so we're going to have high, density over here at Kmart, we're going to have 26 to 30, being built there. I mean, it specifically mentions that in the plan as one of the options. And even in the implementation section, under short range, it discusses identify locations for police, fire, emergency, and then it says the action, and I didn't bring my glasses, but it's page 175, you know, the actions being conceptual in the plan, but go to the plan for the guidance. And it seems to be putting more weight on these conceptual plans that I don't think have been approved by the people in the area that are living in the area. So that's my main concern with it. I think the plan itself, I think the work that went into it's wonderful. I think they got a lot of input that's been, you know, verbalized all the way through this, through the whole plan, and you can see it in the back with all the things from the handbook that they've done as well. But it really bothers me that the details of how it should be developed are as specific as they are under big moves.
Any comments on that comment? Thank you, Commissioner Woods.
I have a question. I'm just going to use the Kmart site as an example, but the Kmart site shows developing all the out parcels plus the adjacent parcel. And what happens if we don't, if the city, you know, nobody comes forward and can get all of the out parcels, and you end up with sort of a, you know, a piecemeal approach? Has that been discussed?
We're starting out with the property that we own.
Mm-hmm.
So what happens is that if that starts to develop or redevelop, then what'll happen is you have private investors. They may not sell to that particular developer, but the development that's there could change, and that's the entire intent, is to create some synergy to ensure that someone would want to invest or reinvest in that particular area. So no, it's not intended for everything to happen all at one time.
Sure.
So.
Any other comments?
Mr. Chairman, Commissioner Wills, can you expound a little bit what you think it should look like? I understand your concerns, but I guess I didn't follow exactly. How should that play out in this overall plan?
As far as the overall plan, like I said, I think everything's wonderful. I really would like to see part of those details taken out of the plan. They may come back later when people sit down to discuss what should we do. But, you know, like when you look at the Sherwood plan, I don't remember, you know, there was a discussion of mixed use, but there wasn't a discussion of putting 4-story tall buildings right up next to Warwick Boulevard when you drive down from Denby on down. I don't know that everybody understands necessarily what it looks like, but for mixed use, you know, to get the one mention in here says there's 22 acres that the city owns. It's on page 147. 650 residential units, 2 acres of green space, and then 650 units in there. That's about, once you take away the 2 acres for green space, that's 20 units on 650 units on 20 acres, which works out to, you know, a density of 30-some units, which is very high density, when high density starts at 16. I don't remember that ever really being discussed, but to see it in here, it's like we have approved, oh yes, here is this is a very nice high-density issue or area that we're putting into our plan, and it's very specific and spells it out very much. And even if you look at the pictures, I mean, it does look wonderful when you see the green space and all. You're here on the green space looking at that, but you're not seeing on the other side of the building, you know, other side of the street where you've got Warwick with buildings all the way up to it with a sidewalk. I just, you know, driving down and seeing, you know, if you've been in city center, the apartments there are about 4 stories tall. So if you can envision the one lane here that Oriana, if you can envision it with driving down, how it will look now in city center with 4 stories of apartments here, and then on the other side where they're now building the Ferguson Center. It'll be that tight of a space, and that's written pretty specifically here in the plan, the comprehensive plan.
Can I make one
Yeah,
comment?
yeah.
First of all, this is not a comprehensive plan, this is an area plan, so it is a little bit more specific.
Right.
And what you see in there are concepts. Yes, that could if we wanted that to happen, we're saying that we could allow that to happen. Mixed use allows 80 units per acre. That's what mixed use zoning allows. The mixed use concept that you see here is just that, a concept. It is the possibility of what could happen if the city wants to go in that direction. But nothing in this plan is written in stone. It is giving you ideas for these particular areas as they redevelop, especially since the city has so much land in the Denby area that could be used to jumpstart redevelopment. But nothing in here is saying that this is what it has to be, that it has to be, even with city center. City center originally, we were looking at much taller buildings, but those taller buildings did not happen. The likelihood is what you see in here may not happen as far as the density and the number of units. But however, the layout may develop that way. It would probably be a little bit more dense because you're trying to get a mix of housing types, not just apartments. So if you're looking for land area, you have land area here, and if you want to introduce something new, then that's what this plan is saying. You have the ability to do that. It's not saying it has to be this way.
Correct.
Oh, Beth, I have a question. If I'm looking at the same Sherwood site development concept, you said there's residential multifamily on Warwick Boulevard?
Yeah, on page 147, the residential multifamily is in orange.
That's Kmart, though.
That's Kmart.
Right.
Oh, I'm
Right.
sorry. I thought you were talking about Sherwood.
Yeah, there I was talking
I
about
got you.
Kmart
Okay, okay.
and the concept
All
of
right,
having
I misunderstood. I thought you were talking about Sherwood, and now you're talking about. I got you.
When I was,
Okay.
you had mentioned something about the Kmart site, and I said, and
Okay.
then that's, but my problem with the Sherwood site then is that we're putting all of our eggs in one
I gotcha.
basket. We're putting the fire, we're putting the police, we're putting the municipal services and the library in that description, in the plan, as if this is how it's going to be, this is what we want to implement. And it's on a short-range plan, so it is something that, I've been told, well, this could happen 30 years in the future and it's going to change. Well, this is a short-range plan. In the implementation section, short range is 1 to 6 years. So if it's in the CIP, it could happen start to happen in a year.
But this is
That-
private development that would drive this.
Well, the public
The public
pieces
property is available for,
for private development.
For a private
Yeah,
development.
But it's not available right now.
Yeah,
I mean,
or it could
Sherwood
be-
Shopping Center right now still has Ferguson in it, and Ferguson will be in it until that lease is up. And what
My
we're doing
question-
is we're trying to plan for the future of the possibility of what could happen.
We went with some specific numbers in the development program for Kmart, which those are that's the EDA-owned land.
Yes.
right.
So this is all private development that will be, I guess, fostered by the city.
Well, it's all public land. EDA, IDA is still public land. And the city will guide whatever redevelopment happens. And this will be a guide for that redevelopment.
It is very specific, though, when you look at the numbers at the 650.
But it's not remember, the plan is not zoning.
Right. And I like the idea of city services at one site because I think it creates some economy of scale and allows people to go one place to kind of,
I've
Go to the
never had to go to
library.
the fire department to get a book out.
well, you do now.
And I know at the meetings I was at, the fire department representative who was there specifically said they did not want to move that far away from where they are now. And I hate to see that showing up in a plan that we, as the planning commission, are signing off on. Here's a good concept, when that gentleman came to the meetings and never, as a representative of the fire department, said they wanted that. And they actually said the opposite.
If I may, I think the concept show elements that the site can hold. Whether fire or police actually go there, that can be determined later, but this site is designed to show us that it has the capacity to accommodate these elements.
So, Mr. Chairman, question. So, I mean, basically, from a binding standpoint, there's nothing really binding to the plan as far as how it's being presented. It's conceptual, it's a concept, it's a starting place, and that's how I'm trying to look at it, is a good, here's what it could be. But going forward, they're now going to be the next steps as far as who is going to shoulder that risk, make that investment to then do what they will, and then go through the normal channels of procedure to apply for a conditional use permit or whatever else needs to happen. Is that the way to look at it?
Yeah, the only thing that is binding is the land use.
Correct.
Well, we're recommending mixed use, that's where we want to see mixed use.
Okay.
Correct, and that's what I was going to
Yeah.
emphasize. Thank
But
you.
that's not specific. Those are just,
Right.
Sheila, say that again one more time. The only thing that's binding is the land use?
Yes.
That's correct.
So if we look at the Sherwood Shopping Center, so the land use on the land use being library, police, is that a land use? No.
No, land use is mixed use.
It's
That's
mi-
what it's
Okay.
identified as, it's mixed use. This is an area plan identifying the land uses throughout the plan area. The concepts are based on things that we could do. This is what could happen. This is based on all of the information that was gathered for the past year, from the community, from all the stakeholders. That's what you have before you.
I think what a lot of people are being confused about is the difference between land use and what building is going to be on there. So what land use is, what she's saying with the mixed use, you can put anything on there pretty much what you want. But I know what you're doing, you're strategically planning it out so people can see exactly what could go there. So this could go there, but it doesn't have to go there. But the land use is saying it could be a police station. It could be a library. The thing about it is it doesn't have to just be a grocery store. It can be a grocery store, a library, an apartment building, or both. So the land use covers the plethora of possibilities. It's just you have to put something in writing, some type of concept down so that people can visualize what's going on. But you can also change it as you go along. The main thing is the land use is mixed. So you can put so many it's infinite possibilities is what they're really saying, right?
Correct.
Right, okay.
And the land, if I may, the land use is site-specific. You have a listing of various sites with different proposed land use designations that would amend the current land use designations if this is adopted. And then you could put anything on that site that meets the land use designation, although this plan is a guide of what staff and the community say is recommending, but it's not binding. But the land use is binding until it's changed.
Thank you. Again, the concepts that has been presented in this plan are very good concepts to ignite and initiate any opportunity for our city. And they are good ideas, and they are ideas that can be expounded on, and I'm sure as our city and EDA, everyone gets together and begin to market this concept, that it will be a great concept for our city that will begin to have some changes. And it can be, I'm sure, evolved into some other things that our citizens can appreciate and be serviceable for our city. Any other comments?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I had heard in the discussions previously that the location at the Sherwood Shopping Center was actually better for the municipal, police, fire. I don't know about the library so much, but you were almost an equal distance to Bland Boulevard as you were to Demi Boulevard. And so that was a consideration that was being made. Whether that was true or not, I don't know. But I accepted that as a possibility.
And I kind of heard that too as well, but again, as studies go forward and as each department head has an opportunity to look at their analysis and look at their numbers and make their selections on what is best for our citizens. Again, we're here for our citizens to provide the best possible solutions to some of our future designs to continue to move our city forward. As you well know, our city is a long, narrow city. And to have time put into revitalizing an area that has been dormant for a while. The city did make a great move in purchasing the Kmart Shopping Center, and I think that was excellent. And so as we look forward to the future, it's good to have concepts or have something to have a visual. Some people need visuals to see on paper. And to have a concept plan as this, again, I think is a great idea. Any other discussions?
Well stated, sir.
No further questions. I now place this matter before the commission. Oh, sorry. Thank you. Wow, in such a rush there today. I now open the public hearing portion for paper. I'm all over the place today. I now open the public hearing portion for the Denby Ward Area Plan, PLN 2019-005. Having no cards on this matter, I now close the public hearing section to this, and this matter is now before the commission.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Commissioner.
I move that we recommend to City Council, I'm assuming this is the right one, the adoption of PLN, or recommend approval of PLN Area Plan 2019-0005.
Second.
It has been properly moved in second. Melissa, please call the roll.
Commissioner Fox,
4.
Commissioner Mulvaney,
4.
Commissioner Stodgel,
4.
Commissioner Whitcamp,
4.
Commissioner Willis.
I just have to say, only because I think this section is too detailed and it's more planning that needed to go on in a comprehensive plan. I'm going to say that leaving that part in there, I have to vote against it.
Okay. Commissioner Gross,
4.
Commissioner Maxwell,
I want to say something as well. I agree with Ms. Willis to the extent of it is detailed, but I believe it should be detailed. But as long as when I vote for, I just want us to understand that I love that it's detailed, but I do understand that we still would be looking at more possibilities. So I'm for.
okay. Commissioner Simmons.
4.
Motion carries 8-1 with 1 abstention. I'm sorry, 7-1. I'm getting over a cold.
And we did have one commissioner have a refusal.
Huh? He
Yeah,
abstained.
Abstain.
That was my abstention. I got the other members wrong.
I'm sorry, I wasn't listening.
That's okay. I tell you how to do your job a lot too. So.
Okay. Thank you, commissioners. Let's see, what did I just do with my paper? Clean my glasses. This case will be heard before City Council on October 22nd, 2019. We will now move to our Executive Secretary report.
Good afternoon.
Afternoon.
September 4th, City Council approved the 4 plan amendments that you all sent to them. I think you all heard them, recommended for them on September the 4th. Coming up in November, we have no cases for October 16th. What's your pleasure?
Commissioners?
I recommend that we cancel that meeting.
Second.
Thank you.
Somehow I seem to be the one that has to.
You do.
I know that.
Because you're so good at it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Well, we have 3 cases coming up for November the 6th. One is a conditional use permit tattoo establishment at 12592 Warwick Boulevard. Conditional use permit for an electronic sign for a church, Denby Church of Christ at 205 Denby Boulevard. And a conditional use permit for a campus ministry house at 91 Shoe Lane. And that's all I have.
A campus ministry house?
Yes.
Interesting.
It's a new one.
Yes.
Will be our first one.
Is that a house? Like a
It's
living
a-
house, residential?
It's
It's a
a residential house, yes.
How soon can we get that?
Probably about a week before November the 6th.
What's the address of that again?
91 Shoe Lane.
Thank you.
Is there a definition of a campus ministry?
Yes,
No?
it
Okay.
is.
We would like to hear it if you're prepared. If not, you can email it to us.
No, it is basically a house that provides services to students at a university. It could be a group ministry where the ministers live there, or they could just use the facility just to hold religious services. It's like a little tiny church.
It's not connected then to,
It's typically connected to a church. It's basically a way to keep students who are away from their home church connected to their church, or to a church.
A church.
not connected to city life? Okay. Not that it matters, I was just curious.
Yes. Sounds like we may be starting something. That's good. Thank you. Anything else? Mr. McAllister?
That's all I have.
Thank you. Are there any committee reports? Any unfinished business? Any new business?
Is there, is it too late? I'll say, is there anything coming up with Enview in the near future? Okay,
Not in the near future, no.
thank you.
Meeting adjourned.